Hello, this is D and I'm back with another video. Well, NVIDIA finally released their entire line, well not the entire line, but at least 3 new GPUs today from the RTX line. Now it looks like all of the leaks were correct. We are getting an RTX 2080 Ti, 2080 and a 2070. Now these have a considerable boost over the previous generation. Now these are going to be using some new technology such as tensor cores, and of course these GPUs are designed primarily around ray tracing. Now the big improvements from these GPUs will come with ray tracing. Now the RTX line of GPUs are capable of ray tracing up to 10 gigaраys per second. That is a huge metric for real-time ray tracing. Now I really want to know what the performance is with regular games. Now of course not too many games are going to be using ray tracing in the beginning, but I was surprised by today's announcement that a couple games will be using it this year. Now they announced Battlefield will be using it. Shadow of the Tomb Raider as well will be using ray tracing. It'll be using the ray tracing elements on their shadows. Now of course we know Metro Exodus is using it. They also announced Assetto Corsa will be using ray tracing as well. So that's quite a few more games than we actually thought. Now at the end they had a graphic up and they displayed a whole bunch of games. I didn't get to catch every single game that was in there, but I did see that Hitman 2 and that some other various AAA games will be supporting it as well. So this is a good start for ray tracing in games. But now we got to be really honest here. Now some of the performance metrics that they listed up on the stage here for this presentation, they listed them towards ray tracing, the improvements over the previous generation, which of course couldn't really do ray tracing at all. Unfortunately, there were no performance metrics for old games, DX12 games, DX11 games. How will the new architecture perform with these type of games? Now from what I'm seeing based on the specs, 270 will take over the 280's place, be a little bit more powerful than it, and it looks like the 2080 will also be a little bit more powerful than the 1080 Ti, and of course the RTX 2080 Ti is just a monster. Now I'm just going to go over a little bit of the specs here, and of course I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you guys can check all the specs for yourself. And as well, these cards are available right now. Now EVGA has them up on their site, and I'm going to put a little graphic up here so you can see it, and of course I'm going to leave a link in the description down below. The NVIDIA GPUs are actually cheaper than what their board partners are offering, and to be honest with you, they look pretty good as well. Now they're not using a blower style card, they have 2 fans on it, so of course the cooling will be better on it, and of course the acoustics should be much better, as a blower style card is just too loud and of course it gets too hot. Now here are the specs as promised. Now the RTX 2080 Ti has 4,352 CUDA cores compared to the RTX 2080 that has 2,944. Now the RTX 2070 has 2,304 cores. So now all of the cards except for the 2080 Ti actually have less CUDA cores than the GTX 1080 Ti. So I can't wait to see the new performance of these GPUs compared to the GTX 1080 Ti. Now the RTX 2080 Ti is just a monster. 4,352 CUDA cores, which is just incredible to think about. Now the giga-rays on these systems is 10 giga-rays for the 1080 Ti, the RTX 2080 has 8, and the RTX 2070 has 6 giga-rays. Now in comparison to the last generation, the GTX 1080 Ti can basically do 1.21 giga-rays per second. Now they also have a new metrics called the RTX Ops, and the RTX 2080 Ti has 78 Ts, and the RTX 2080 has 60 Ts compared to the RTX 2070 with 45. And let's go back to the last generation once again. The GTX 1080 Ti in comparison only has 12 Ts. Now once again we're going with 11 gigabytes of RAM, but it's going to be GDDR6 this time compared to the GDDR5 times of the GTX 1080 Ti. Now the 2080 has 8 gigabytes as well as the RTX 2070. Now the memory bus is 352 bits, which is the same as the GTX 1080 Ti. Unfortunately, when we go down to the RTX 2080, it's only 256 bits as well as the RTX 2070. Now the memory bandwidth on the RTX 2080 Ti is 616 gigabytes per second compared to the 2080 that has 448 gigabytes per second as well as the 2070. Now in comparison, the GTX 1080 Ti from last generation had 484 gigabytes. So all but the RTX 2080 Ti have a lower memory bandwidth than the GTX 1080 Ti. Now I have to say this is making me feel a little bit better about my GTX 1080 Ti. The base and boost clock clocks. I'm not really going to get into that because those are going to change at launch, and of course board partners are going to have different clocks. Now the TDP on the 2080 Ti is 250 watts compared to the RTX 2080 that has 215 watts and the RTX 2070 that has 175 watts. Now in comparison, the GTX 1080 Ti had 250 watts, so we're going to get basically the same power consumption. Now the revealed that the RTX 2080 Ti Founders Edition will cost $999 US, followed by the RTX 2080 for $699, and last but not least the RTX 2070 for $499. However, when I click on NVIDIA's site, I get slightly higher prices. I get $1,200 for the GeForce RTX 2080, $799 for the RTX 2080, as well as $599 for the GeForce RTX 2070. Now I'm not sure if this is because I'm in Canada, it's just converting the rate, but it's quite possible that we're paying the Founders Edition tax on these NVIDIA GPUs. Now of course some of the board partners cards will be more expensive, but I think if we wait a little bit longer, some of them will be cheaper than the Founders Edition as well. Now as excited as I am for these cards, and I know some of you guys just want to go out there and grab it, and I know some of you will be grabbing them today, I do recommend that you wait for some benchmarks. We do need to see the raw numbers on the performance of these new GPUs in comparison to last generation to know if they're worth the value that NVIDIA has placed them at. I am a smaller YouTube channel, I do all the funding myself, and to be honest with you, I just put out a lot of money on a 1080 Ti, a 1070 Ti. Of course, I would love it if I had some sponsorship, but unfortunately I do not, so I'm probably gonna have to wait to get these cards to test for you guys. Viewers out there want to send me a card, I would happily accept it, and of course you can send it to me on Twitter at D_batch. Now there's no shame in a little bit of mooching. Not too long ago I did buy my 1080 Ti, so hopefully with EVGA I'll be able to do the step up program. I don't know how much more days I have left in it, so hopefully they'll approve that and I will be able to get a GTX 2080 Ti to test out for the channel. Anyways, I want to know what you guys think. Now I think it's a big step in the right direction. Now the metrics are very high, but I want to know what these cards will do with games that do not support ray tracing. Will it be a big step up, or most of the performance is seen only in the ray tracing games? I also want to know what will AMD answer to these GTX 2080s and 2080 Ti's. These are monster GPUs. I also want to know what will miners think of these. What type of numbers will these GPUs do with mining, and will we have this situation all over again with all of the miners gobbling up these cards? Anyways, I want to know what you guys think, so please leave your comments down below, and like I usually say, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.